Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Schuyler Callihan here with another episode of Between the Ears. Make sure you go hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel here at Mountaineers Now. Give us a like and then head over to X and follow us at that same exact handle. Darian DeVries is really starting to put together this roster. Yesterday, he picked up a commitment from Jonathan Powell, who was recently committed and signed to the Xavier Musketeers. He requested release from his NLI late last week, and quickly West Virginia acts to pick up another piece of the puzzle. A quick look at Powell. 29 games last season. He averaged 19.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 1.3 steals. Pretty solid two-way player. Shoots about 45% from the field, 38% from the free throw line, and ironically, not the greatest free throw shooter. Only 67%, but that's something I don't think is very concerning, at least not at this point. A lot of high school kids have issues with free throws for whatever reason. But was the D1 Ohio Player of the Year prior to transferring to Centerville, which is where he finished his career. He played at Chaminade Julian. There he was a third-time All-Ohio honoree and averaged 16.8 and 4.5 rebounds per game. So Jonathan Powell, big-time commitment, not only for now in the present, but the future of this program, probably more so than anything. And the further I keep looking into this team and the pieces that they have, I'm starting to become really optimistic about what this team can do. Now, is this a team that's going to contend for a Big 12 title? I'm not quite ready to say that just yet. I think they've got a lot of work to do. And anytime you bring in so many new pieces, and really it's not just West Virginia, it is much of the Big 12 at this point. It's hard to get all those pieces to mesh together. And when you also have a new coaching staff and you really don't have anybody returning outside of Ofri Neve, who didn't really play that much and again played for a different staff. And then you also have Aiden Tagalo and Elson potentially playing again, who's more focused on football and really didn't play. There's a lot of question marks about this team. You do have a couple of guys that came from the same place in Monty Hansberry, Sincere Harris. They were with Chester Frazier at Illinois. So you do have a little bit of familiarity. Tucker, obviously, with his dad. But I think for the most part, what fans need to just start to piece together in their mind about this team is it's probably not going to be a team that's going to go and finish in the top 4 or 5 of the Big 12. It's not going to be a team that's going to make a deep tournament run next March, and that should probably be the expectation. If they do it, you should be surprised and be thankful that it happened. Now, I don't want to write this team off by any means. I'm not sitting here saying on May 7th that they can't go out and do those such things. But when you're talking about the situation that they're entering, the new coaching staff, a hell of a lot of new faces on the roster, it's an uphill battle. And I want to say if they can get to 20 wins, and again, this is way, 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 way too early to start talking about records and what the real expectations should be, because, I mean, by the time August rolls around, this team will be put together. We'll have an idea of what they're going to look like. And that's probably when we can start to formulate somewhat of an opinion. The closer we get to the season, then we'll start to really kind of have an idea when we hear from Darren on a more regular basis and so on and so forth. But with the way this team is put together now, it's got a really nice balance, I think, of offense and defense. Tucker DeVries is clearly going to be your number one scoring option. But you also have Javon Small, who's transferring in from Oklahoma State, was an all Big 12 player last year. He can score the rock. Sincere Harris hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity yet, but when he was at Illinois, he showed some flashes of being able to do that. And then in the front court, Amani Hansberry, very young, but he can score 1,000%. I think he's going to be, if the roster was the roster of what it is today, he's going to be your inside scorer. Now, that's probably not, excuse me, the best scenario. I think you'd want another guy in there that could potentially start over Hansberry, just to give him another year to kind of really get caught up to speed and be where he needs to be. But he can do it. Now, he's not a rim protector, and that's why I'm saying, I think defensively, I wouldn't say he's challenged by any means, but I think there's certainly some more upside there, that hasn't been tapped into yet. So I think if you can get another polished two-way guy, then that would be ideal. Now, if not, Hansberry's there. Eduardo Andre, the Fresno State transfer, really kind of reminds me of almost a mixture of Gabo Saboyan and kind of like a maybe a Polycap in some ways, or a Damon Kerrigan. There's some sort of mix there between maybe even all three of those guys. But of those four, him included, I think he can score the ball the best. So that might be the guy that ends up starting over Hansberry, at least to start the season, unless they do add another piece, which I do anticipate them doing. But let's just say, for the sake that this is the roster they're rolling with, Andre is probably the guy they're going to start. Hansberry gets a healthy amount of action off the bench. But the way this thing is shaping up, I do think this is a team that could conceivably win 18, 19, 20 games. And playing in the Big 12, that should be plenty enough to get you into the NCAA tournament, especially if you make a little bit of noise in Kansas City. If you go win a game or two there, probably going to the dance. So the way that Darren has had success at Drake, and I know it's a different level, but the success that he had there and the instantaneous success that he had there, I mean, it's hard not to get yourself to the point where you're starting to believe that this thing might be something pretty fun in year one. Is it going to be last year? Absolutely not. It's going to be light years away from what we just saw. It's also probably not going to be, you know, one of those teams that, like, say, Calipari's put together the star power laden team at Arkansas with Jonas Adu and John L. Davis and so on and so forth. That team, they could potentially, when it's all said and done, it could be a team that, finishes in the top 10. And I just don't think that's a realistic expectation here. This is not the same situation. This is not the same NIL situation. It's not the same coaching staff. It's not the same program. It's not the same ability to bring in certain guys. When you add Calipari to the face of your program, you're going to start to attract different types of players. That's just is what it is. West Virginia, Arkansas, you compare the two side by side historically, yeah, they're fairly even. In some instances, you could potentially even say maybe West Virginia's had more sustained success over the years, but when you put Calipari's name there, that makes it a whole lot different. So that's going to be the reason why they're going to have a really good year, and we shouldn't compare Darren DeVries' first season up against the Calipari, or maybe perhaps even against the Dusty May at Michigan. Maybe we'll see, but as things stand today, this is a team that will compete. This is a team that will make some noise in the Big 12. They're going to upset some people. I just don't know what the ceiling is for this team. That's the question mark for me. How many more pieces can they get that can really kind of, not necessarily put them over the top, but push them into the upper echelon of the Big 12? That's my biggest question. If it's, just one or two guys that can help you right now, I don't know. I need to see the whole thing put together. But right now, I'd say, somewhere around the middle of the pack of the Big 12 is what this team is capable of. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest with you. This is going to be, this year one is about setting the foundation, setting the culture, setting the expectation to win, do it the best you possibly can, and start bringing in some of these other guys in the classes behind them. Because once you bring in those guys, That's the ones that are going to the 25 and 26 class. Those are the two classes that are going to make the biggest impact on this program and how the trajectory looks. So let me know what you guys think here in the comment section on YouTube about not only the pickup of Jonathan Powell, but the overall look of the roster as it stands today. Is this a team that can contend for the Big 12? What do you think? What else do they need? Let me know everything in that YouTube comment section. And also, while you're there, hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Go over to Twitter or X. I keep calling it Twitter. And follow us there at the same handle, at Mountaineers Now. You can follow myself, at Callihan_. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for another episode of Between the Eers.